Alright, Trailblazers. The Creator Experience server has graced us with another Ultimate Weekend Warrior, Sunday. This man doesn't just preach harmony, he follows the path of it quite literally. Imagine a support character so good at teamwork, he's basically a motivational speaker for your summons as well as your other main DPS characters. But don't let his calming presence fool you. Sunday is here to disrupt your turn order, hand out crit buffs like they are candy, and make sure your summons feel like MVPs. If you ever wanted a character who takes care of your pets, then Sunday is your new best friend. Unless your team doesn't have summons, well, in that case he's still a very good friend. Now let us dive in. As a small disclaimer here, Creator Experience server means everything you're going to see is still subject to change. As such, I will simply showcase his kit and talk about a few artifacts you could potentially use on him, but I will not go into hyper detailed territory when it comes to gearing. We will do that in his actual guide when he is about to release in a week from now. Alright, I have to say I'm somewhat excited to talk about this kit because I feel like he is the first indication towards another meta appearing on the horizon, and that meta is all about summonings. Right now we might not have a lot of summoning characters in Star Rail, but I am going to assume that this will change in the future as MiHoYo is fairly good when it comes to creating new characters. Sunday's kit is all about elevating your team's performance, turbocharging their turns and making summons hit harder than your monthly Primogen budget. Let us start with our basics here. Sunday's bread and butter is his skill, which might as well come with the VIP pass because it bumps up an ally and their summons straight to the very top of your action order. Your summons will hit harder, faster and more often. But here's the kicker, no harmony path favoritism allowed. Buffing another harmony character doesn't move their turn order. Why? Balancing apparently, but don't worry, summons get an even bigger damage boost as compensation. Sunday is clearly all about making sure your pets feel loved. As a small side note here, you can also use it on non-summoning characters, however your buff will be slightly weaker. Next we have his ultimate. Not only does it regenerate 20 energy for a targeted ally, but it also turns them into the Beatified. Sounds fancy, right? Well, it kinda is. Crit damage will go through the roof. He's going to buff your crit damage based on his own crit damage, but be warned, it is a limited time offer only. 3 turns max, shorter if Sunday is taking turns himself like a hyperactive kid on a sugar high, so don't give him any monster energy drinks. And one last aspect here, don't let him die. Turns out harmony characters don't work so well when they are dead. If he dies, the buff is gone, as simple as that. Sunday's also got some energy regeneration passives, so he starts battle at 25 energy and you will restore 40 energy at least always whenever you use his ultimate. And he's also going to restore 1 skill point if you use your skill on a target designated as a Beatified. If your summons weren't already feeling like rockstars, his technique also adds insult to injury by giving them a massive 50% damage boost after his first turn, or to be more precise, after you use your first skill in combat, which you always do during your first turn, right? So after his first turn. And yeah, that is kind of the surface of what he can do. Alright, so like I said, let me quickly go over gear. Not too much, but a little bit at least, so that you know what we are going to use in our showcase here. When it comes to Sunday, not this, let us go into our data bank here, that makes it easier. We are going to use the new Ordeal set. This set will be released in the same patch as Sunday. It will increase your speed by 6% for the 2-piece bonus, and more importantly, the 4-piece bonus will give you a crit damage buff, 18% times 2, so 36 in total, whenever you use your skill or ultimate on a target ally. Right, so 36% crit damage for whatever ally you are going to buff. As simple as that. When it comes to our ornaments, there are a few options in the game you can use, technically speaking. We have Broken Keel, which is an easy set to use on Sunday because his passives have effect resistance, so getting to 30% is fairly easy when it comes to this set. It's a fairly decent set, I would say. But you can also go for either Penacony Land of the Dreams if you, let's say, play him in combination with Dan Hang in Barbetalune, right? So it's a 10% damage increase effectively for imaginary characters and imaginary characters only, so pay attention to that. However, you can also go for Lushaka. Lushaka is going to give you some energy regeneration, as well as a fairly nice to have attack buff for the very first character in your team lineup. I am going to make the prediction right now that due to the fact that Sunday is only buffing a single character, you are most likely going to play him in a single DPS setup, right? So one summoning character like Topaz or Jiuan, for example, 2 support characters, Robin and Sunday in this case, and a sustainer like either Aventurin or Lingsha. When it comes to our Lightcon on Sunday, we are going to use his signature Lightcon. It is going to give us a fairly nice to have energy regeneration, and it is also going to increase our damage by 45% whenever you use your skill or ultimate on an ally. If you don't have this one, once the character goes live, you can also go for, let's say, Sparkle's Lightcon, because this one has crit damage. And you can probably go for a few 4-star Lightcons as well, but like I said, I will do a deep dive when it comes to that, when I'm going to release this actual guide. Eidolons, we are not going to use any of those. And for team setup, like I said, we're going to use Topaz, Robin, and Aventurin. Or maybe Lingsha. We'll see, one of those 2. I still need to set up the gear. As you can see, they have nothing equipped, so I'm going to see you guys in a moment, where we are going to do some Memory of Chaos action. Alright, as you can see, I ended up using Jiuan here instead of Topaz because I feel like taking a look at some of our older characters is more interesting than just showcasing the same characters over and over again. I also ended up using Auto Combat because I wanted to try it out and see if he's going to perform well when it comes to Auto Combat. And obviously we have our same old mistakes here, like using ultimates way too early before the buffs are even set up. But as a small spoiler ahead, he ended up using his skill and his ultimate always on the correct target, in this case Jiuan. When it comes to team composition, let us talk about this. Sunday can be used in a lot of different teams. You don't have to use him in a summoning team. Obviously a summoning team is his best in slot team, so Jiuan or Topaz as a main DPS carry. You can technically use Lingsha as well, but Lingsha is not a DPS, right? So Jiuan or Topaz it is. When it comes to other compositions, you can play him in combination with Dan Hang, for example. You can use Blade, you can use Jin Liu, or you can go for any of our other usual follow-up attack teams. So Fei Xiao, Mose, Dr. Ratio, stuff like that, right? You can even go for a double DPS follow-up attack team. So Fei Xiao and Mose in combination with Sunday, but in that case you would leave out Robin. A character who most likely doesn't work in combination with Sunday is Acheron, because she wants to have characters who are going to debuff your opponents, which Sunday is not going to do at all. But if you want to play her in combination with him, then be my guest, why not? Another aspect which I want to highlight here is that as old as Jiuan might be when it comes to our game here, he's doing quite a lot of damage here, right? You can see like 250k follow-up attacks on Jiuan here due to the nature of having Robin's and Sunday's buffs active. So that is quite a lot. And just imagine what a character like Topaz is going to do if she is in this team instead of Jiuan. Obviously Topaz is a full single target character, that is why I ended up using Jiuan here. But if you do, let's say, Apocalyptic Shadow instead, then Topaz is probably going to be really good. And on top of that, the stats here for Jiuan are not broken at all. He has 75% crit ratio, kinda like that, somewhere around that ballpark, and 110 crit damage. He's using his 5-star Lightcon, right? So a little bit broken when it comes to that, but his stats are not broken at all. Your Jiuan is probably going to be better than this one right here. Unfortunately, the creator experience server isn't really friendly when it comes to giving you good artifacts or relics. You kinda have to get them yourself, but it is what it is. One aspect I want to talk about as we finish our video here, we have about 1 minute left, is the pull value for Sunday. Right now I would say it is decent, not perfect, but decent enough, because you can use him in combination with either Jiuan or Topaz, right? So if you have one of those two characters, he's going to be fairly good. However, what I see happening here right now, when it comes to what MiHoYo is doing, is the same principle as back when they released our Harmony Trailblazer. our Harmony Trailblazer was the foundation stone for any type of break effect team. Because shortly after that we got Firefly, right? And if you look at the promotional material for our Remembrance Trailblazer, so if you haven't seen it yet, go to HoYoLab, it's somewhere there. You will see that our Remembrance Trailblazer is most likely going to use some type of summoning mechanic. And what I think is happening here right now is that they are setting up the foundation for a summoning based team composition. As simple as that. So if you are interested in summonings, then Sunday is most likely going to be your best friend. Other than that, that is kind of it for an early showcase. Like I said, I will drop a full guide for Sunday once he releases, where we go into detail when it comes to his kit and his abilities and his gear and all of that stuff. But other than that, that's about it when it comes to his early preview. Thanks for watching, leave a like, a comment and all of that stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.